Hello, hello, and welcome to another podcast episode of Overpowering Emotions, where I talk all things big emotions, emotion regulation. Today, I am rehashing some of those key skills. I'm just continuing on looking at how we can strengthen resilience and apply it to something that we can all use right now, which is the upcoming holiday season. But you can use this even if you're listening at a different time. It's not the holiday season. There's so much happening, though, around this time of year. Even though we think of the holidays as happy times, there's usually a lot of stress, right? So it's really easy to become feeling overwhelmed, stretched really thin, frustrated when things don't go as planned. Family dynamics can really feel amplified. We're stuck together for a couple of weeks. There's different personalities, there's unresolved conflicts, there's extended family, right? There's fights over screens, probably, right? Even just those minor disagreements can really turn into a bigger tension that creates more stress. Sometimes there's this unspoken pressure too to create the perfect holiday experience and just make sure everybody is happy. And so those expectations can really turn into stressors and leave us feeling drained and disconnected, right? That's not what the season's about, but that's usually how we feel oftentimes. But we can really capitalize on this time for everyone to practice key skills, looking at strengthening resilience while making sure the holidays are still awesome and focusing on what really matters at the end of the day. And so, one thing I always love to come back to is gratitude. I mean, that's such an important pro social emotion. We really need to build it in all parts of our life. There's so much research supporting gratitude as a key to our emotional well being. And when we look at, all of the stories of significant trauma in people's lives, the resilient people who have grown and thrived from those really have shown a lot of that post-traumatic growth that we hear about. They were grateful. They were grateful for life. They were grateful for all of the opportunities that they had, even in the most traumatic situations, right? Or even just in the busy, stressful holidays. It doesn't matter what extreme our environment is, that gratitude has a way of grounding us. And I don't mean big gestures or big gifts and focusing on all of the big amazing things that are happening in our life. No, it's about the small little moments, moment by moment by moment. When we look at the research, right, it's not just about appreciating what we have. It's actually a way to shift our perspective to see challenges with compassion and understanding. And so with gratitude, our brain, we're able to reshift those challenges. Instead of a threat response, we're seeing the challenge response. How can I grow and develop from this? So really looking at how we practice gratitude during the holidays. A simple way is having a family gratitude journal or maybe a gratitude jar. Just every day, everyone takes a second to write down something that they're grateful for. Everyone in the family can do it, because if you're sending your kids to their room to do it on their own, I mean, it's probably not going to happen. So just setting it up as a routine. But it could even be, just enjoying a warm cup of tea or hot chocolate together, just having a moment and talking about what was the thing that you were grateful in that day. And maybe in that moment, it is that tea, right? Or maybe it was a joke someone said at dinner that got you laughing, or it was a good dinner, or you didn't burn dinner, right? When my kids were little, we always did our gratitude right at bedtime. We had this chat. And so we would talk about one or two grateful things that we were, or one or two things that we were grateful for in the day. And we had a gratitude jar. So we put little gems in, and the girls actually loved it. So they would put more and more gems in. And so they would think of all the different things that they were grateful for. So now we do it at dinner time because we're not necessarily doing that bedtime routine, but it doesn't matter when you do it. Doing it every day can make all the difference in the world. It's just these little moments, right? When you're doing it consistently, we're planting those seeds. It's helping to build a pattern of appreciation and those pathways in the brain. So that gratitude is key. I've also talked a lot about mindfulness, and it goes hand in hand with gratitude because we have to be present in the here and now to have a chance to notice what we might be grateful for in the first place. And so trying to bring in that awareness is key. So maybe you have to think intentionally and proactively to remind yourself to pause and take a moment to be mindful throughout the day. Even if you just have to set an alarm, right? Every hour or every couple of hours, just to remind yourself to pause and take in, notice what's going on right here and now. right? Or maybe just set a time when you know you're going to be in a situation that you're looking forward to. Maybe it's dinner time. Maybe it's debriefing time, dessert time, whatever that is. Maybe it's a pause to enjoy the scent of dinner cooking, the way the lights are twinkling at night, maybe the quietness in the morning. It's just about noticing those moments. It's not sitting and meditating for an hour. It's just noticing right now in this moment. Take a moment now. Just notice your body. Where is your body in space? What's your posture like? What do you notice around you? It's just being present in this moment, letting go of the need to rush, right? For just a few minutes. Those small moments of mindfulness and gratitude can really help us stay connected. It helps us feel good, right? And we're connected to the other people in our lives and to the good things in our lives, even when things are getting busy and overwhelming. So we have these pieces, that gratitude, that mindfulness. I think that we really need to also talk about setting realistic expectations because I think we get really caught up, and I know I have too. I'm definitely a victim of this. So when we're looking at the holidays, it's about being realistic for ourselves and for other people. And I think that, this is one for us adults where we can model unhelpful things like perfectionism, right? It's really easy to fall into that trap thinking that everything has to be perfect. And if we can ease up on some of those things and some of those expectations, we can start to choose where do we actually want to focus our energy on. Finding the perfect gift can use up a lot of time and effort and energy, right? But by focusing on what's meaningful and the connections and hanging out with the kids, right? That's probably better time and effort spent. So rather than focusing on those gifts, focusing on one really meaningful thing. Or maybe things like shared experiences. For me, I know for my girls, I will buy a couple of things for them, but otherwise, the things that I'm buying the presents are usually things that we can do together as part of that shared experience. And this is really good modeling for our kids too, right? We can also model things around our social commitments, right? Don't say yes to every holiday party. Don't say yes to every gathering or baking for every gathering, right? Especially if you feel drained when you leave. You want to give yourself permission to opt out if you need that time to recharge, right? If it's just going to drain your battery. It's your holiday too. So you need to protect your energy. That's part of building resilience. And so is setting boundaries, right? If we're not setting limits and boundaries, and we're just going to get overwhelmed and we're not going to enjoy the moment and kids aren't going to be, won't have good role models in their life too. So we really need to think about it's setting limits, not around anxiety. Sometimes kids will try to put boundaries and avoid things because of anxiety, but it's really looking at what's most important to you. If it is going, you want to go to these gatherings because it's your only opportunity and you want to connect with friends and family, that's fine. It's just why are you going? Thinking about that purpose and talking out loud. That's really important. Our kids need to hear all of that as well. The only other thing that I'm going to say too, I know I'm packing a lot in here, but I think it's really important to sort of think about these things in advance as we come into these last couple of weeks, but creating a new tradition, right? It doesn't mean you have to get rid of other traditions that you already have, but it's just focusing again on what is meaningful for you. If you don't already have a movie night, maybe it's a Christmas holiday movie night, maybe it's a family game night, maybe it's making sure you establish dinner once a week for all of your family where you try a new recipe. Think about starting a first time tradition. I've talked previously about the awesomeness of firsts, and our brain just loves that novelty. And, the first taste of ice cream, the first dip in the ocean when you go on holidays or whatever that is. So, thinking of your first time tradition. Right. And so maybe it's doing something new, picking a day. And on that day, every year, we're going to go do something new. We're going to go visit a new place. We're going to try a new activity. We're going to try a new restaurant, a new recipe, whatever that is. We're going to try something new, right? So these things help us get out of our comfort zone, trying new things that aren't predictable, right? And now we're going to create some new positive memories and things for us to look forward to. And that's the big piece. I mean, so having something to look forward to, but also stretching out of our comfort zone. That's what really this podcast is always about, right? Stretching out of where we know there's certainty and predictability. That's really important. And so we need to always look for new opportunities to try new things, to try hard things, to give kids important jobs. That's where resilience is going to be really built, right? Giving them room for autonomy, giving them space to explore without someone always overlooking their shoulder and over monitoring them and supervising them. So think about creating a really simple sort of resilience plan for the holidays where you actively create experiences that are going to help you and your family grow. So, like I said, I definitely recommend that daily gratitude ritual and think about those first time holiday traditions where you're picking something new. Okay. Making sure that you are setting boundaries. I would say screen time too. I think that that's really important. And especially every day, having time where people are spending away from their devices, an hour or two every single day where we're going to do something else and really focus on what's most meaningful and really plan for that. Just thinking about, keep working on the homework from last week. If you missed it, we can get kids to do this too, just creating a timeline or some sort of visual, looking at how far they've come, right? Looking about the challenges that they have faced this year and how they worked through it. Reflecting on that resilience timeline is going to help us see our growth, remind our brain we can handle it, right? This is really important for our kids. And then we can, start looking at our ability to face future challenges. So I'm just going to continue. I'll add on the gratitude and add on that first, new first tradition, but continue looking at those successes and those resilience pieces. That's a lot jammed in a short amount of time. I will leave it there today. Go enjoy the rest of your day. Think about how you can incorporate this, help your kiddos be bold and courageous, and I will see you next time.